like I should say welcome to the official start of this reading vlog. I honestly do not feel like I have been able to catch a break since last Thursday. As you guys will probably know, I had Gavin and Ashley here over the weekend. They left quite late on Sunday. So Sunday night I spent doing things like catching up on editing, and then Monday, as you saw, I went to see my favourite band, the 1975, for the 8th time, I believe. Honestly, if you guys have been with me for quite some time, you will know that I do actually go to a lot of concerts and a lot of shows. I'm actually somebody who's quite sensitive to loud noises, and music isn't my favourite thing in the world. I do listen to a lot of music. I like bands like Mayday Parade, who I've seen twice, I think, but the 1975 are the only band that can hold my attention for the entire set. I don't really like things like being in crowds and not the atmosphere of the show, but the atmosphere of being in arenas. For example, I go to Manchester Arena a lot and I hate Manchester Arena. I find it to be really stuffy and claustrophobic, but the 1975 are the only band where I do not mind any of that. The atmosphere is great. I've never been to any other shows that have quite the same atmosphere atmosphere as the 1975 do. So it was a great time. I loved it. I loved their set. It's not my best show of theirs that I've been to. They've reworked the set a little bit. They tend to have the same encore and they've switched it up, and I felt like the track listing didn't make as much sense. It didn't flow as much as usual, but it was honestly still a great time. I think they're great live. Love the atmosphere of the show. It was one of the best nights of my life, honestly. They always give me the best nights of my life, and I am actually going to see them again next Friday in Manchester this time. So if any of you guys are going to be there, then let me know. Manchester is my home city, the 1975 from Manchester. So every time they tour, I tend to go to a show that's closer to me, somewhere in Yorkshire, and I always go to the Manchester show because it is always the best one they perform, because home shows are undoubtedly the best. So that happened on Monday. I got home at like 2 a.m. I wrapped up last week's vlog. Yesterday I was at work, and then I spent my evening editing the entirety of the vlog because I've been so busy. I normally edit my vlogs in sections, but with just being so busy for the last like 4 days, I spent 5 hours just editing that right through. It was a nightmare to export and upload because it was just being annoying. So I finally got that sorted tonight and got that posted after I'd spent a day at work, and now I've just been to the cinema to see the Sonic movie, which was a little bit disappointing. I have to admit, I didn't think that the script was very good. Jim Carrey's performance as Dr. Robotnik though was really good, but it did remind me a lot of Negan from The Walking Dead. I got a lot of Negan vibes from him, but there were a lot of scenes with him in that I thought were really well acted. I don't think you can fault Jim Carrey on getting his character. He's really great at that, and I did enjoy it. It just wasn't as good as, for example, the Detective Pikachu movie. So I finally just got home. It is around 10:30. I'm going to be doing a little bit of editing on a video project I've been working on, but I do really need to properly start this vlog because I actually finished a book today. So the book that I finished was The Raven and the Dove, which is one that I started last week when I tried and failed to do a themed fantasy romance reading vlog. So this book was a review copy that I got from NetGalley. I read it as an e-arc, and this is a March release. I think it's the 3rd or 7th of March. I believe that this book is self-published. The author is Caitlin Davis, and this story takes place in a world where there are floating islands in the sky, and on every island there is a race, and the races are named after different kinds of birds because they have the wings of different kinds of birds. Now, all of the main characters are royalty. Every so often, when all of the children of the families have come of age, there is a courtship trial where they all come and gather. They all take part in a series of both physical and mental trials, and the young men and women who come top of these trials get first pick of mates, and this will be the person that they spend the rest of their life with, that they marry, have children with, etc., and also who becomes the next rulers of all of these floating islands. Now, Liana is a black main character that comes from a position of privilege. She is the second child of the highest house, and the two ravens are at a little bit of a disadvantage as they come from a house that people believe has fallen out of favor with the gods. Now, the crown prince of the Raven house actually has a disability, and because of this he asks his bastard brother to step in for him and compete in the trials to give the house a better chance of placing higher and actually being able to claim a mate, as they haven't been able to in the past. Now, we do have a lot of things going on in the background of this as well. One of the characters is a spy for a king on Earth. There are characters with magic, and magic is not allowed because before the Isles were raised into the sky, these people were oppressed by magic wielders. And also at the core of this is a Tristan and Isolde retelling. So essentially the gist of this story is that the Dove Princess Liana falls for the bastard Raven Prince Rafe. When the trials are over, Liana finds out that she's been duped, and it wasn't actually the mum that she now has to marry who was participating in the trials, it was his bastard brother. So we have a forbidden love story here, as well as this plot of subterfuge going on in the background and the magical elements as well. This book was not a hit for me. I actually gave it 2 stars. I would give it 3 stars on enjoyment. It was okay. There were bits that I found quite compelling, but overall this book just was not for me. First off, I thought that it was unnecessarily complex and unnecessarily long. This was a 500-page young adult fantasy romance book, and a lot of the story was focused on the romance, which I wholly expected, but I didn't find that the magical elements were very well developed. I didn't really understand the magic in this world. I felt like a lot of time could have been spent on building up some of those aspects, especially as this book was 500 pages. Now that would have been okay if the romance really stood out to me, as this was a fantasy romance. I was going in expecting this to be predominantly romance centered. However, the romance is very slow burn. I will admit the characters had chemistry. I really liked Rafe. I really liked his backstory. I would say that he is the most well developed of all of these characters, and I really understood his internal conflict. Now Rafe has quite a troubled backstory, which really added to the guilt that he felt over what was going on here, but the whole thing was just a will they won't they, because they want to but they shouldn't. And as it is a romance, some things did happen, but it came up to this romantic climax where the first actual romance happened, and then it was half a page and faded to black. So the romance wasn't even worth reading this book for. As for the side characters, I didn't find them particularly well developed. I thought there were too many of them, and because there were so many of them, I expected the chapters to be a little bit more focused on driving the plot forward or actually developing the characters. But throughout a lot of this book, it didn't really hold my interest. This book also reminded me a lot of the Queens of Innisleia in the way that it was told, in that this is a book where not a lot happens until right at the end, and the kind of things that were happening were similar to the Queens of Innisleia, with things like backstabbing and secrets being revealed, people betraying people, and all hell broke loose right at the end. But overall, this book felt like a really long setup to a story. It was like reading the first 100 pages of a normal length fantasy book, but stretched across 500 pages. So by the time I finally got to the end of this book, I was actually intrigued in what was going on. But the book ended, and now I have to wait till summer for the sequel, which I'm not sure I'm going to pick up, because I did give this book 2 stars. I have to admit, I'm still kind of interested in Rafe and what's going to be going on with him in the sequel, but he is pretty much all I care about in this book. The writing also wasn't very good. The way that things in the world building and plot points were introduced, it was only when the author needed to use them. So for example, something would be introduced in a chapter, and then 2 chapters later another character would go to this destination that miraculously only just appeared. But yeah, it was a bit of a miss for me. As well as that, the antagonist that's mentioned, the Mortal King, he's hardly in it. I think there's maybe 4 chapters before the climax where he is even around. I don't know, everything just kind of felt underwhelming, and it wasn't for me. But if you guys would like to read it, if it does sound like it's interesting to you, there is a pre-order incentive. It is US only, but I believe if you pre-order and submit your receipt, then you will get an art print, and I think that the hardback also comes with a bookmark. And this book was also on my Bookopoly TBR. It fulfilled the challenge to read an ebook or an audiobook. So I did just change my battery, so my camera angle has probably changed. But now that I have finished The Raven and the Dove, I am actually going to be starting a new book today. I am currently still 47 pages into my reread of ACOTAR. I think I do still plan on picking this up this week. I definitely still intend to carry on rereading it. Not sure whether it is going to be this week though, because I do still have 2 books left on my Bookopoly TBR, and I would like to get them down sooner rather than later, but I will still be reading this at some point in February. But for now, the next book that I'm going to be starting will be Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. This is the first book in a young adult fantasy series that I'm interested in, because it is one of Jade from J.D. Ray Reid's favourite series. I only know the bare bones of the plot going into this. I literally have not even started this yet, but I believe that this follows a young mage called Kel, who is about to take some sort of tournament that allows him to fully declare himself as a mage. However, on the eve of this tournament, he discovers that all of his magic has gone missing. I am kind of going to leave it at that for now, because I will be starting this tonight, and then as I'm going through it, I can tell you a little bit more about it. But this book was kindly gifted to me by Erica, so thank you, Erica, for that. And I am also buddy reading this with Erica this week. Erica has already started. She is on at least chapter 6, and I was supposed to start this yesterday, but time has just been getting away from me, with me still catching up from things that I should have been doing like at the weekend. But I am very excited to get into this. I also just love that it's like a really nice soft paperback. They're my favorite books to read. And then lastly, for this update, I do have a parcel to open for you guys. This has actually been sent to me by the publisher. It is from Harper 360. Every so often they send out newsletters by email to reviewers, and you can reply and let them know if there is anything on the list that you would like, and they may send it to you after checking out your platform. I requested a few things off the paperback chart, so I don't know which one this is, and I'm very intrigued to find out. I had this since this morning and I really wanted to open it, but I knew that I would have to come and do like a full sit down update on my reading and stuff, so I have resisted, but I'm excited to find out what is in here. This will be like my third thing I've ever been sent from a publisher in nearly 3 years, so publisher mail is always exciting. Okay, one book in here. So the book they have sent me is Honor Among Thieves by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguirre. I hope I'm saying that right. This was published a couple of years ago, but I think the third book is being released this year, so they were giving away a few copies of the first book in the series, which is this one. Haven't heard anybody talk about this, but the cover was stunning and I love me a young adult sci-fi, so I did request it. This follows a girl who is a criminal and has been recruited by a team of aliens to join this elite group that are going to explore the far reaches of the universe. And the back implies that she meets the ship she's assigned to and they start to discover some truths. Like I said, not heard anybody talk about this, so I really do not know much about it, but it does definitely sound interesting. It's also a US copy, so it's another fluffy paperback, which as I just said, I absolutely love, and I'm very interested to be getting to this one at some point in the future. Maybe it'll come up on next month's Bookopoly, who knows? Whoever knows with Bookopoly, it could literally be anything. Even I don't know. I'm scared of my own TBR game at this point, to be honest. That is it for this update. It was a little bit long, but I did have a few days of stuff to fill you in on. I'm gonna go now because I got some editing to do and I want to put my pajamas on because I'm kind of sleepy, but I will come back and check in with you when I know a little bit more about Spellslinger, or if anything wild and crazy happens or I do anything else interesting. But to be honest, at this point, I hope I never do anything interesting ever again, because 6 days of excitement is definitely more than enough for me. I'm waiting at the premiere for Gavin's Akatar vlog and I'm honestly terrified because he said he was pissing himself laughing while he was editing it, and I'm in this vlog, so I really don't want to know what he's done with me. Hey guys, I'm just popping in really briefly. I have a huge to-do list for tonight and it is already, I think it's around 7 p.m. now, so I don't have too much time to fill you in on my reading, but I am around page 150 of Spellslinger. I haven't been reading very much this week at all. I'm gonna crack on with that a little bit, but I'm not sure how I feel about it at the minute, so I may pick up Without Merit by Colleen Hoover later on tonight because I am feeling in a little bit of a romance mood. But I'm just popping in really quickly because I received an Amazon parcel today and I don't know what's in it, and I really want to know because it's quite a chunky one, and I don't know what's in it, so I'm gonna open this up. Does it go through you? The fucking hell. The way I'm talking to you. I broke the thing. This is really hard to do one-handed. I got this. Also, another reason I don't want to stick around and vlog is look at that massive scab on my face. I'm just beauty and grace at the minute. Right, okay. This is a really flimsy package and I'm trying to do everything one-handed. Okay, so there are 2 things in here. The first one is Arcanum Unbounded by Brandon Sanderson. I put this on my wish list because I'm participating, well, I'm co-hosting Cosmere Along, and as well as reading the core books that Brandon Sanderson has written, we are also reading the novellas. I think this has the majority of the novellas for the Cosmere in it. I have already read the Elantris ones, which I believe are included in here, but I haven't read the rest, so I will need this to be able to do that. So thank you for this, whoever sent me this one. And what else do we have in here? It's just one more. Ooh, it's a matte cover. This is Lady of Light and Shadows by C.L. Wilson. I read Lord of the Fading Lands, which is the first book in this series, last week. Really loved it. Can't wait to continue. This is a really nice copy. I mean, it is slightly damaged, but I'm not bothered. But it's matte. I like it. So this is book 2 in the Tyrant Soul series, which is an adult fantasy romance series that follows a Fey king that is trying to save his population from extinction. And one day he meets a mortal woman called Elisetta Barastani, who he quickly discovers is his soulmate. And because there are quite a few suspicious circumstances surrounding her birth and she's got a little bit of magic, he believes that he has been led to her because she is the key to saving his people. So I really liked the first book, but the love at first sight thing didn't do it for me. So I'm very excited to read the sequel now that we're past all that love at first sight, and it should be more of the normal relationship and more of the fantasy stuff. So thank you for this. I'm desperate to read that. That will be going on my March TBR, providing Bookopoly allows it. So let's see who who sent these. Oh, it's from Tracy. Thank you so much, Tracy. Had to get this for you, didn't I? Hope you enjoy it. That must be Lord of the Fading Lands. Congrats on getting through to the BookTube finals as well. Thank you so much, Tracy. That's made my day. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the minute, just generally. I have a lot of stuff to do, and real talk, being self-employed is stressful as hell, because while I'm good at things like managing a schedule and having agency and doing things myself, if I don't have a reason to get up in the morning, I won't. So just getting into a little bit of a routine and not feeling like really lethargic and lazy all the time. Oh, I've got chalk paint all down my arm as well from being in the office earlier. But yeah, just forcing myself out of bed to avoid feeling lethargic and slumpy is difficult at the moment, so I'm trying to get myself into a little bit of a routine, and every time I fail to do that, I just feel really shit about myself. So yeah, self-employment's great in that I have more time to do stuff, but I know what I'm like as a person, and having that lack of structure is taking its toll on me right now. So this evening I'm going to label a bunch of candles. That's like next on my list of things to do, and package some orders. And then I also have a big video project I'm working on that I would like to get a little bit more done on tonight. And as well as that, I do want to do some reading. I'm feeling tired all the time, and it's my own fault because I'm sleeping too much. I mean, you guys have always said to me that I need to take a break and sleep more and look after myself, but I can't do it. I don't feel good when I sleep a lot. So sorry to dump all that on you, by the way. That's not why I did this vlog update. I just wanted to open my parcels. But the gist is, thank you so much, Tracy, for sending these my way. I very much appreciate it, because I'm going to need Arcanum Unbounded anyway, and I'm desperate to carry on with this series. But yeah, that to-do list isn't going to conquer itself, and I want to play World of Warcraft at some point. So I'm going to go and get a few things done, and then I will check back in with you guys tomorrow to let you know all about Spellslinger and how I'm enjoying it. Hey guys, so first off, I kind of just want to apologize for how emo I was being yesterday. I was just feeling really down, and to be honest, I was feeling kind of sorry for myself. You know when you're in those moods and you feel really bad and then you just hate yourself for no reason? I was in one of those, but I'm feeling much better again today. I said to you guys last night before I left off, I was thinking of picking up a Colleen Hoover book to lift my spirits a little bit, because I just need a little bit of romance to mellow me out a little, and I did do that. I actually ended up labeling a bunch of candles, packaging a few orders, and then I just went to bed. I went to bed at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, and I just read because I was feeling sorry for myself, but Colleen Hoover definitely pulled me out of that. I'm feeling much better now. So I'm going to tell you about the two books that I'm currently in the middle of. So the one that I have the least to say about is Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. This is the one that I started on Tuesday night. I think I read one chapter, or Wednesday night. I'm only on page 137 of this. I can't even really give you any more information about what this is about at this point. We're following a boy called Kellen in here. I still don't have a good grasp of the world in this series yet, but Kellen comes from a powerful family of mages, and he lives in a community of mages. Now in this community, if you turn out not to have magic, you are known as something, I think it's called a Shartep, which means that you are pretty much just normally human and you don't have the power required to summon these 7 elements. Kellen is on the verge of becoming Shartep. He really doesn't want this, because this means that he will be a servant for his family instead of like a family member. But one thing Kellen does have is that he is extremely quick-witted, so he's pretty much just trying to blag his way through these trials. However, that nearly gets him killed, and a woman called Furious shows up. Do not know very much about her at all, aside from she says she can do magic and she has a deck of cards, but at the moment I still don't know if she can do magic or whether she can just do card tricks, pretty much, because the tagline for this book is magic is a con game, so I don't know whether Furious is actually just so skilled that people think that she's performing magic. Sebastian de Castell's writing style is very particular. Our main character is very arrogant. It's one of those kind of writing styles where you can imagine the scene playing out, and then the character kind of just like breaking the fourth wall and turning to the reader and saying like, this is what was really going down, and then the scene continues. Not sure if I like it yet. This is a very fast-paced book. It's very easy to read, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm 140 pages in and I'm not entirely sure where the plot of this is going yet. So I think that this is one that I'm only going to be able to give you guys a full picture of when I've actually finished it. Hoping I can do that tomorrow, but as I said, I did start another book yesterday that I am really enjoying, which I'm going to talk about now. So last night I did say that I was starting Without Merit by Colleen Hoover. That is not true, because the Colleen Hoover book that's on my Bookopoly TBR is actually It Ends With Us, not Without Merit. I own both of them, which is probably why I got them confused. And my battery is flashing, so I'm going to go change finish that out because I have quite a few things to say about this one. So in this book we follow our main character Lily Bloom. Lily comes from a small town in Maine, but we start this book when she is 23 and she is living in Boston. The book starts out directly after her father's funeral, and she has gone to one of the tallest buildings in Boston to kind of calm down and just have a moment to think and process, because she didn't really get on with her father. So she's not necessarily sad that he's dead, but he was her father, so she has some feelings about that. While she's on the rooftop, a guy breezes in, lights up a joint, and he's had a bad day and he's just blowing off steam. And this guy is our first love interest, Ryle. So what we learn about Ryle in the first chapter is that he is dead set against relationships. He is very ambitious, he's very dedicated to his job. He's just finishing his residency at Boston Hospital, and when that is over, he will be a fully qualified neurosurgeon. So these two get talking. They're both in a very vulnerable place right now, and they start to play a game of truths. While they are playing that game, Ryle says that he would very much like to fuck Lily, and she is considering it until he gets a call about an emergency surgery he has to go and perform, and sadly the moment is ruined. However, 6 months later, Ryle and Lily meet again when she is just about to open her florist store and has accidentally, without noticing, hired Ryle's sister. So this book has the dynamic with those two, which I really love, where Lily is of the mind that she wants to meet her soulmate, and Ryle very much does not want a relationship or any distractions. So that is all well and good, but we do have a few complications in this plot as well. The main one of those being Atlas. Atlas was the boy that Lily lost her virginity to when they were both teenagers, and he was homeless, living in an abandoned house at the back of where she lived. Lily still holds a lot of love for Atlas because they were never officially together, but they very much had a thing when his circumstances changed and he had to leave. So as you can imagine, there are a lot of unresolved feelings there, which would be fine if Atlas was still in her past, but lo and behold, Atlas has moved to Boston and Lily meets him again. So I'm loving the dynamics in this, guys. Gotta say, I'm more of a Ryle girl at the moment, or I was. I'm 208 pages into this book. I'm going to be done with this book today because I cannot put it down. I was very much into Ryle for the longest time until Atlas like properly made his appearance. A lot of this story is told in diary entries, so we find out about the history of Atlas and Lily through diary entries, because when Lily's father died, she collected a lot of her old stuff from her childhood home, and she had a whole ton of diaries that she kept in her younger years. So while this story is taking place in the present and we're learning about Ryle and Lily's relationship, we are also getting these diary entries about the past. And to be fair, those diary entries are really well written because they are making me cringe so hard, because they have that teenage level of, oh my god, he touched me and I died kind of vibe, which, I mean, it is cringy to read, but that's the point. It's a 15-year-old's diaries. So while we were learning about Atlas through the lens of 15-year-old Lily, I was 100% a Ryle girl. Like, he's this hot, sexy, rich neurosurgeon. To be fair, Lily is a little bit questionable because she thinks he looks hottest in Scrubs, and I've never seen a man in Scrubs because doctors don't tend to generally wear them outside of hospitals in the UK. So I can't say whether men in Scrubs do it for me, but the idea of a man in Scrubs is not really doing it for me. But I was 100% down for Ryle, because while the sex scenes in here aren't explicit, they're very around and about. They're describing what's happening, but it's not like full on terminology and stuff. It's kind of, it's vague, but it's there. So I'm enjoying these steamy scenes. I'm enjoying Ryle and Lily, and everything is going well, and then Atlas shows up and there's people fighting, and I'm living for this angst. As I say all the time, I really love angsty, dramatic, like super ride or die romance stories. That's why young adult contemporary really doesn't do it for me, because it's definitely a lot tamer than adult. In a young adult setting, most of these elements are considered problematic. I mean, they are in an adult setting as well, but the beauty of adult literature is that the reader gets to read the book and then decide for themselves whether elements are problematic. I would say that this is new adult. I really love Colleen Hoover's new adult stories. One of my favorite contemporary romances is November 9. I fucking love that book. So this book is definitely giving me all of the vibes that I love from Colleen Hoover. We have the angst, we have the drama, there's two men here. I don't know who she's gonna pick. I don't know who I want her to pick. At this point, I don't know what's going on. I think I know what's gonna happen. I think I know who she's gonna pick. But yeah, I'm enjoying the ride. The thing about Colleen Hoover's books is not only do they give me all of this dramatic angst that I absolutely fucking love, they're also super addictive. One of the reasons I was being so moody last night is because I was reading this and I just wasn't in the mood because I was so down. I was talking to Gavin last night and he told Ashley and I to read middle grade because they're soul books, and I do enjoy middle grade, but romance is definitely my soul book. This is a book that just makes me feel happy because it's giving me all the swoony feels, but it's also full of all this overly dramatic conflict that I can't get enough of. So I'm absolutely loving this and I'm hoping to finish it tonight. Honestly, I have to film a couple of videos now. I gotta do my Owlcrate unboxing, and I also have to do, I think it's my book haul that I need to film today. I haven't looked at my schedule, but I'm pretty sure it's my book haul, which is ridiculous because that means it's coming round to the time for me to film March's Bookopoly already. Oh, I didn't mention as well, this one is on my Bookopoly TBR, and it was a community chest card, which was to read a Colleen Hoover book, and I'm so glad that community chest card is still in there because I really needed this last night. So these are the two books that I am currently reading. I think I'm going to finish this one first, and I will definitely come and check in and let you guys know what I think about it. Not sure if I could ever give a Colleen Hoover book 5 stars because her writing is a little bit caricature-y in places. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a little bit contrived, a little bit rom-com-y, like very cheesy, typically what you'd expect characters in romances to say, which I'm not explaining this very well at all. Her writing is not the best writing style. It's still good. I still enjoy it. I've read better written contemporaries and better written romances is what I'm trying to say. But at the moment, I would say that this is 100% going to be at least 4 stars for me. One other thing as well, before I forget, this does have trigger warnings in it for domestic violence. So if you are sensitive to that, then please be cautious when reading this book because it is a major theme and a big topic in this story. Hey guys, maybe I should have prepared before I just came to randomly talk to you. So it is later in the evening now. It's about 11 p.m. I've just finished editing my book haul, and let's move this. I'm just waiting for it to export and then I'm going to get in bed and read. But I thought I would come and check in with you because I'm actually on page 292 of It Ends With Us, and you could say that my perspective has changed a little bit from what it was earlier on. I still love this book. I'm so addicted to this book because she just knows how to grab me and pull me in. I've actually just tweeted and asked for Colleen Hoover recommendations, so if you guys have any to add to that, let me know. I've read this, well, I've nearly read this. I've read November 9 and I've read the Slammed series, so I'm wondering where to go next because with her just writing so many standalones, it's hard for me to know which one I want to go into next. I mean, hopefully one day I will have read them all. I'm not sure where to go after this. I know where to go directly after this, which I'll talk about in a minute, but just talking on this book took a seriously dark turn that I wasn't expecting. I should have expected it because I have heard people talk about Colleen Hoover's books, and in the past I will have heard people talk about this book and mentioned that one of her books is about a certain thing, but with that being so long ago and me not connecting, and I also find Colleen Hoover's book titles pretty interchangeable, I never remember which one is which from the ones that I haven't read. Yeah, this book took a dark turn and it's really putting me through the emotional ringer, but I am so addicted and I'm just like, I'm loving this so much. I'm really deep in my feels this weekend, guys. I have just been listening to Mayday Parade while I've been editing, and I'm reading angsty romance, so I'm living my best life. I don't know if any of you guys ever do this. Do you ever just read books that you know are just gonna really tear your heart apart, or listen to music that you know is gonna tear your heart apart and just find it really cathartic? I'd say it's probably pretty similar to making yourself cry so that you release all of that pressure that you've been building up. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point this weekend I do make myself cry because I'm feeling the need to release all of these emotions, which is why I'm torturing myself by reading really dramatic romance and listening to really sad music. But anyway, moving on to other things. Here is the tea. I have around 60-70 pages of this left, which I'm going to go and get in bed and read as soon as my video has finished exporting and I can upload it. I have one book left on my Bookopoly TBR, which is Aurora Rising by J. Christoph and Amy Kaufman, but I'm actually going to be away going seeing the 1975 again at the end of next week, so I need to read that early on next week so that I actually get it done, because I think I'll be filming Bookopoly on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. I could film it on Wednesday, but I have one Bookopoly TBR book left. I'm buddy reading Spellslinger with Erica, except I'm not because I've been sucked in by Colleen Hoover. I'm 50 pages into ACOTAR, so I need to continue that. It's not really a buddy read anymore because Ashley's been reading it this week and Gavin's already finished, and I'm starting Crooked Kingdom with Jade on Monday. However, while I'm in such a reading mood right now and I just want to read and I'm really enjoying this book, when I finish this book tonight, I am then going to pick up Without Merit by Colleen Hoover, and I'm gonna read this one and yeah, just really dive into these feelings that I'm feeling. and read all of the angsty romance. So that's the reason that I want Colleen Hoover recommendations, because these are the only two that I own and I'm going to read them right now. So I'm going to go now and work through these emotions and check in with you guys probably tomorrow to let you know what I thought of the ending of It Ends With Us. Hey, so it is now Monday afternoon. I obviously was supposed to wrap up this vlog yesterday, but I was up finishing a book until 1 AM and then I just went to sleep. You guys know how it is. So since the last time I checked in with you, I have actually finished 2 books. The first one is, of course, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I loved this book so much. I gave this book 4 stars. This is so powerful and broke my heart a lot. I felt so many emotions when I was reading this. So I told you what this was about the other day, and I also mentioned that this book takes a very dark turn, which it definitely does. But this book definitely comes from a unique perspective, to me at least. I know there will be books out there that do a similar thing to this. I just haven't read any. And in this book, Colleen Hoover puts us in the position of a domestic abuse victim, and you feel that pain. You feel how nuanced this situation is. You fall in love with the love interests along with the character, and then you are betrayed by one of them, and it is fucking soul destroying. And just the whole complications of that, the feelings that the main character feels, and how these situations are not black and white. There is a lot going on there that people don't see. It is easy for somebody on the outside to say, if he hurts you, then leave him. But when you are in that position, there is a whole lot of other stuff that goes along with that. There are very complicated feelings. There's love warring with hatred. There's a sense of grief for the person that you thought your partner was, and that was with who they actually turned out to be. And some situations are also not cut and dry. I would love to read a sequel to this book. There is one line in here that just, it punched me real hard right in the heart, and I love this book. This is now my favorite Colleen Hoover book. I am obsessed with this, and now I'm on a little bit of a Colleen Hoover kick, which is unfortunate because I have a whole ton of fantasy to get through before the end of February. So because of my love for It Ends With Us, after I finished that book, I did pick up Without Merit. This one is not on my Bookoply TBR. I just wanted to read more Colleen Hoover, and this is the only one left that I own physically that I have not read. They are all available on Scribd. It's just I wanted to read a physical book. So I did not know this when I picked this one up, but this is one of Colleen Hoover's young adult novels. It Ends With Us is definitely new adult, and this one follows a girl called Merit. There are trigger warnings in this book, as there is with It Ends With Us. The trigger warnings in this one are depression and attempted suicide. So this book starts out where Merit is in a thrift store looking for trophies, because one of her hobbies is collecting trophies that she hasn't earned. It's just a thing she likes to do. And while she's in the store, she notices a boy called Sagan staring at her. Now she is obviously really confused by this, but Sagan follows her outside, says something really strange to her, and then kisses her, which she is down for. She loves that. However, while they are kissing, Sagan receives a phone call that is actually from Merit's identical twin sister Honor, and Merit quickly discovers that Sagan actually thought that she was her sister. Now there is a romance in this story, but this is not a romance book. I would say that this is a contemporary. Right at the beginning of this book, Merit has dropped out of school. She's just decided that she's not going to go anymore, so she's at home all the time. She has a very complicated family situation. Her mother lives in the basement, even though her father is remarried to a woman who was actually her mother's nurse. She also lives with her identical twin sister, and they have a very bitter relationship. She has an older brother that she holds a grudge against for something that we do not know at the beginning of the book, and she also has a baby half brother, which is the only member of her family that she can actually stand. This was quite frustrating to read from Merit's perspective, because it is quite obvious that Merit has quite an isolated view. She's holding a lot of anger and bitterness towards the other members of her family, and for that reason it was quite clear to me at least that she did not have the full picture. She was very much running on assumptions and what she assumed about these people, what she assumed that they were doing. It's very clear that she knows absolutely nothing about their lives, especially as she begins to open up in some parts through the novel, and you find out just how much she has been living in her own bubble and how depressed she actually is. Now one of the main reasons that this was so frustrating to read is because of the miscommunication. Merit is so isolated, even though she is surrounded by all of these people. people, and everything in this book would have been solved if she had just spoken to the people around her. However, she is not willing to do that. That being said, mental health and depression is the main theme of this book, so it is understandable and reasonable in that context. It's just throughout the beginning of the story, it is very frustrating to read, and Merit is such an unlikable character because you can just see how judgmental and bitter she is towards everybody else around her. I did really like the romance in this. I liked Sagan. I didn't go into this for the whole contemporary thing. I really just wanted another romance, but this was a good book, and by the time I got to the end, I was really enjoying the family dynamics as well. So I did give this 4 stars overall. It is only just a 4 stars. I used G from Bookrow's Corpel system. I'll link the video where she explains that down in the description box, and literally if I had marked it 1 less on any of the aspects in this book, it would have been a 3. So this was a very low 4-star book for me. I think I gave all of the books in Colleen Hoover's first series, Slammed, 3 stars apart from the last one, which I gave 1. So I think I maybe see a trend that I really like Colleen Hoover's new adult romance stories, but I don't like her young adult stuff as much. This book was still enjoyable, and it reminded me a lot of Sarah Dessen, who is an author that I absolutely loved as a teenager, who pretty much writes contemporary stories with hard-hitting aspects. Like I said, love all my angsty contemporary stuff, so Sarah Dessen is my favourite young adult contemporary author, and at the minute Colleen Hoover is my favourite young adult / new adult contemporary author. So that is another book down. That puts me at 8 books this month, I think. I have 1 book left on my Bookopoly TBR. I put a poll on Twitter last night and asked you guys whether I should continue to read Colleen Hoover, and you guys, you're making me read my Bookopoly book, which I mean, I should be doing, but for once I just wanted you guys to enable me, and you said no. So I'm going to be starting my final Bookopoly book very soon, which is good because we don't have long until the end of the month, and that is actually my final Bookopoly book. But that is about it for this week's vlog. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you made it this far, no idea how long it is. I'm about to start editing it when I've wrapped this up. But please don't forget to like this vlog if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.